Super banana.
Super banana. I don't know.
You had it on a Veda base, right?
Yeah, and they sent a PDF out.
Oh, this
also. Can you send me a PDF? Like, personally?
I thought you sent it in the chat, right?
Yeah, I don't know where it's at though.
You gotta go to the top.
Unless you like...
The top?
Hit like, go to the...
I see it.
Yeah, you have to
it's
press
like,
documents.
Yeah, it's like untitled. It's this one.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like the second one from the bottom.
I don't have auto download, so it's like...
Oh,
it doesn't
it's like,
update.
okay, I see. No. What if I sent this to you?
You can send it around, but someone can send it to me.
If I download it. Wait, if I download it, I should be able to send it if I download it.
I just sent it.
Okay.
Shri Chaitanya Manobhisham Sthapitam Yena
Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Ragana Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so we are in chapter number 2. Different devotees, different duties for different kinds of people.
Yeah, good idea.
Just okay. All right. So someone can start reading, please. Yeah. Someone start.
Balancing work and worship, dividing duties amongst ourselves. Sannyasi's role in community development. Our mission of making people peaceful and happy. Prabhupada. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said, Ekale Ishvara Krishna Ara Sabha Bhartya. From Adi Lila chapter 5, verse 142, Lord Krishna alone is the supreme controller, and all others are his servants. He will disturb. Ishvara. Ishvara means master or the controller. Only Krishna is master. Even Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, or incarnation of Vishnu, all of them are, in one sense, even Radharani, all are servants. Ekale Ishvara Krishna Ara Sabha Bhartya. So in that sense, in New Vrindavan, the master is Krishna, and we are all servants. But there are division of duties of the servants, and they should discharge. Just like in our propagation of Krishna consciousness movement, there are certain duties entrusted to certain devotee, and if he faithfully carries out that duty, that is his perfection. The spiritual master is the representative of Krishna, and the duty allotted by him to a certain person, that should be his execution of spiritual duties. So, this new Vrindavan, master is Krishna. Now we should specifically divide duties amongst ourselves and discharge such duties faithfully. Then, by the grace of Krishna, as you are growing up to now, the system and the prescription is very nicely being conducted, and this will help us more and more progress. So in this meeting, I think we should allot different kinds of duties to different persons and execute. So you say something. And I don't think it can take more than 2 hours. Keep going.
Someone else can keep.
We are done. RT.
No, clockwise.
Kirtananda. We are done. RT Kirtan by 7 o'clock in the morning. Prabhupada, that's alright. Then the respective duty can be discharged in 2-3 hours, that's all. 7 to 10. After taking your breakfast, you work up to 10. Then you have got enough time. Kirtanananda, time for what? Prabhupada, everyone has to make his own routine work, and for chanting and reading in Bhagavad Gita, he requires, say, 2 to 3 hours. So we have got 24 hours at our disposal. Out of that, 6 or 7 hours for sleeping. So still, you have got 17 hours. And 3 hours devote for chanting and reading. Still, you have got 14 hours. Kirtanananda. But we devote at least 5 hours to Arti and Kirtan. Prabhupada. Satyabhama. Another hour and a half or 2 hours to Prasadam. I remember Prabhupada was like, what? Shama. Eating? Satyabhama. Yes, to eating Prasadam. Prabhupada. 2 hours for eating. Paramananda. Eating and taking rest. Satyabhama. Well, noon prasad, morning prasad, milk in the evening. Paramananda. Morning and evening, half hour, noon 1 hour. Hayagriva. Bathing takes an hour. Prabhupada. So you want to stop chanting? Satyabhama. No. Kirtanananda. We don't want to stop chanting. I don't want to. That's not the proposal. The proposal was Satyabhama. What comes first? If the work seems to have to be done, but the Prabhupada, you can forego your sleeping and eating. Satyabhama. Haribol. Prabhupada. The Goswamis were doing like that. Nijahara Vihara Kari Vijato. From Srinivasacharya prayers, the 6 Goswamis conquered over Nidra, means sleeping, Ahara, it means eating, and Vihara means sex. They were discharging their duties, and if sometimes they still could not finish the chanting, they would forego their eating and sleeping. Eating and sleeping, say 7 to 9 hours. Then we have to sacrifice our sleeping and eating. Paramananda. But the Goswamis, they didn't swing axes all day, did they? Prabhupada, yes. Paramananda. They didn't do physical work. Hard physical work. Prabhupada, no, they were writing books. So they were writing, you have to manage, you see. How can I suggest? You can do this, you can do this. Everyone has to do. Just like I do my work according to my own routine, you see, similarly one has to. But if sometimes by chance you do not get any time for reading Bhagavad Gita, that does not harm very much because you are already engaged in Bhagavad Gita. And duty that here in Vrindavan, just like Krishna was inducing Arjuna to fight, that fighting was also within the program of this devotional service. Similarly, anything working within this new Vrindavan, that is also counted reading Bhagavad Gita. So in some day, if you don't find read Bhagavad Gita, but that chanting must be finished. That is very essential.
So now once we start the Varnashrama farm community,
No more reading.
Work is reading.
Anyways.
I'm reading.
I'm reading. I know that. I'm not stopping at reading. I'm not stopping at reading.
Prabhupada said.
I don't care what Prabhupada said.
So anyways, I mean, as Prabhupada elaborate more, I think we can just keep reading because there's things, but it's gonna get mentioned, I would assume. So we'll continue reading.
I agree with. Can one chant when working?
1969.
Yes, why not? Chanting is the basic standing of our life. Kirtanananda. I think here, as I look at it, we're spending about 5 hours a day in Arti and Kirtan, which I think is really good because I think that is the heart of Vrindavan. Prabhupada, yes, that is the life of Vrindavan, Kirtanananda. So I don't want to sacrifice that for anything. Prabhupada, yes, that must be Kirtanananda. That must be there, that's the heart. Prabhupada, you can forego even reading Bhagavad Gita, but that must be continued. Wow. Kirtanananda. But now, right now, of course, there is not time for pruning. But I would like to prune to show people that we really have something. What is that?
Like trees.
That's what I'm assuming. Pruning only refers to generally plant.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if pruning also refers to time management there.
I think that's what he's kind of meaning.
Time management?
Like cutting out like
Yeah.
certain things.
Prabhupada, yes, Kirtanananda. It would be nice for our community. It would be nice for our community. It would be nice for the people who visit us.
No, it's not. It's literally pruning. Yeah. Go on.
Huh?
I guess.
Go on.
It would be nice for the people who visit us so that they would be able to see that, they're able to carry on with their gardening. It is the pruning.
This is literally pruning.
Prabhupada, no, you also require some fruits for your existence also. Krishna will like it.
So Prabhupada is insisting, don't just look at aesthetics and, bushes and shrubs and what is that stuff?
Useless
You
trees.
got the
Yeah.
hedges, yeah.
Sinful
Not
trees.
just pruning hedges or pruning trees and this and that. You gotta grow some fruits and eat something. Yeah.
Kirtanananda. Actually, it will help moral if they have just a little bit of prasad. Prabhupada, yes. And now we require some assistance, more assistance, yes. So Krishna will send gradually. You have more men here and engage them. Kirtanananda. The way it works out, the afternoon, they never seem to get much done anyways. There's a lot of frustration because sometimes I have a feeling that it's a lot of time being wasted, but still it seems very difficult because you figure, suppose prasadam were offered at 2 and you didn't finish up until about 3, and then they rest until 4. By the time they bathe and everything, it's time to start getting ready for kirtan. I agree with that. We finish arati and kirtan by 6 o'clock in the morning. That means that the early morning prasadam must be ready by 6 o'clock. So we finish by 7 and then work from 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 to 11 to 12 to 1 to 2. That's 8 hours hard working in the morning, and then rest of the afternoon off. Kirtanananda. That's all right. I agree with that. But we should get at least 8 hours hard work in on the grounds, Satyabhama. Can the men do that? 8 hours hard working like that without a break? I agree with sure, I could. Pramananda. But there is not enough time in the afternoon for chanting. I agree with that. What do you mean, the whole afternoon, Prabhupada? That is nice, that in the morning you work and after prasadam you're at ease, take rest and read or whatever you like. I agree with
No.
I agree with. There's plenty of time from 2 o'clock until bedtime. That's 8 hours from 2 to 10. You can't chant 16 rounds in 8 hours. Paramananda. Well, I have to begin my duties with the cow at 5 o'clock. So we'll be finishing prasadam and rest at about 4 o'clock. That leaves me 1 hour, which is filled up with other odd chores. Hayagriva. Well, then, if you have to you have an extra hour you have to work in the afternoon. You have an extra hour? Satyabhama, 2 hours. Kirtanananda. Since you milk the cows in the evening like that, you can take an hour or so off early. That would be alright. Hayagriva. Then you can take off at 1. If you put in an hour in the afternoon with the cow and take off an hour from 1 to 2 to chant Satyabhama, then we have from 7 to 8 Kirtanananda. Well, try it that way. I agree with. Sometimes we're so slow getting started in the morning. Paramananda. It's not enough time because that is, if the entire morning is to be allotted to the major tasks, because the thing is, I find that there are many time-consuming little chores to be done that without which New Vrindavan would be a mess. There are so many little tasks to be done. I agree with. I'm president. That escalated. That's really fast. Prabhupada, you are the president. And who is secretary? I agree with. Shamadasi is secretary. Prabhupada, huh? I agree with. I agree with. Shamadasi. Prabhupada, Shamadasi, secretary. And who's treasurer? I agree with. Rishikesh. Prabhupada, Rishikesh. Rishikesh. And what is Kirtanananda Maharaj's position? I agree with. He is the Mat commander. Devotee 1, Prime Minister. Wow. Shama. Advisor? I agree with. General Advisor, Mat Commander. Prabhupada, the Mat Commander. Of course, so far the management of the New Vrindavan affairs is concerned, that is within Mat Commander's jurisdiction. I agree with. I don't know. Prabhupada, yes. Mat Commander means that.
I was not happy with that.
Yeah, he thought he was going to be. Yes, Mat Commander means that everything of that place under his command. I agree with. That's not good. Then advisor is better. Advisor would be better. Prabhupada. Advisor means his advice would be final. I agree with. Advice final. That means the advice would be depending on the president. Prabhupada. Confirmed by the president. So honorary advisor. advice gratis? Hagriva, yes. Prabhupada chuckling. No. Another thing is that, as I suggested, that Kirtananda Maharaj being sannyasi, he should be given the top post to give honor to the position of sannyasi. Otherwise, in our society, there's no meaning of a sannyasi. Hagriva. So you want him to be president, Prabhupada. I think he should be like that. You become secretary, and Shamadasi become assistant secretary. Of course, everything should be decided in a meeting, and president maybe have as a casting vote, but the decision of the meeting will be actually the decision. The decision of the meeting will be actually the decision. Not that president autocracy, no. Or he may be president. You may be vice president others. Shamadasi secretary and treasurer he is. From Sampradaya point of view, sannyasi has to be given the top post. Do you think he will overrule you? So I think then the difficulty is that you say that whatever you decide, he says no.
I agree, but if I don't want this tree to be cut down and he says cut down this tree, does the tree get cut down? That's what I want to know. I say, I want this tree to stay here. He says, we want to burn it for firewood. Now does the tree stay or does it go? Prabhupada, well, if this deposition is very difficult to solve, you want to stay and he wants to burn it. I agree, but yes, I mean it will come down to something very basic like this, something very simple. Now you said that according to you, it should be burned. According to you, if the president is in charge, then he says to cut it down. It gets cut down. Prabhupada, no, the committee, the majority decision will be. I agree, but that's democracy. That's democracy. That's no good. Prabhupada, democracy? This is the age of... I agree, but I thought you said we should have an enlightened monarchy. Prabhupada, no, monarchy is out of date now. When you form a committee... But what can I say? If you disagree in that way, then if you have to live together, you have to work together. If you disagree in that way, it will be a difficult job. I agree, but well, I don't care. I'll leave it up to you then. I'll leave it up to you. You can do what you want.
So you can see kind of how Prabhupada is having to haggle with his disciple. This is tough. Yeah. It's tough stuff. He does like they're all heavy characters. And they don't agree with each other. Actually, Srila Prabhupada, at the very beginning, the reason he's talking about all this like duties is to talk about Varnashrama and say there's cooperation, nobody's stepping on each other, and there's understanding and cooperativeness, and there's hierarchy, but ultimately for Krishna, it's all the different services are the same. All the different Varnas, when they're offered to Krishna, they're all purified, they're all devotees, they're all Vaishnavas, but everybody has their role that they should learn and they should participate and they should know their position. But you have a problem here because this is the kind of quarrel that sometimes tends to happen. And as Prabhupada is saying, he said, now if you live together, you have to work together. If you disagree in this way, it will be a difficult job. And so, Prabhupada said this disposition is very difficult to solve. So the disposition is that maybe my way or the highway. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. There has to be some level of understanding. There has to be some level of cooperativeness. And what allows cooperativeness? What allows that cooperativeness and what prevents it? It's the same answer. Huh?
Following the Varnashrama system.
Mm-hmm.
What is your question?
What allows cooperativeness to exist and what prevents it from not existing? It's the same answer.
Remembering everything is done for Krishna.
That, of course, is the bigger picture. But then there's one particular cause that inhibits it. Envy. Enviousness. Enviousness is the root cause. We can't cooperate. If I'm not satisfied and I become envious that somebody else has something, even though I have everything I need, but I like something else that someone else is doing, then there's no way to go about it. For instance, there are certain devotees who are closer to Maharaj physically than others. Now, if you become envious And you think, how come he's getting to be close with Maharaj and I'm not getting to be close with Maharaj? Although Maharaj is happy that you are doing your particular service. He's very glad and he wants that service to go on. And if you give that up, he's not going to be happy. So all this is known, it's understood. But still there is enviousness. There is dissatisfaction. And what does this cause? It causes, and you find a few disgruntled people who share different levels of envy. And then it forms into kutinati. And then it turns into? Kutinati is basically like
talking someone behind someone's back.
Kutinati is prajalpa, is unnecessary talk. And then what happens? That leads to offenses. And then after offenses, what happens? One's devotional life goes down the drain. This is how it happens. We have what we need. We have our particular talents. We're engaged in that. Now, one may have desire. Oh, I want this. I want. But then, at the same time, what qualification do we have? The qualification to desire this? As like, it requires a certain qualification. What is this? I was thinking I was telling Chandan the other day that I'm temple president, but Jitha Girish Prabhu gets to spend more time with Guru Maharaj than me. Cumulatively, if you look at it, he gets a lot more hours spending with Guru Maharaj than myself. But if I want to desire to do massage, I can't. I can't do massage. It's a joke. It's an inconvenience if I even suggest it. So that's what happens. It's like then if there's an enviousness, and it goes, you get everything, and then it comes out in a different way, and that's, you see, it's like on one hand I agree by saying, well, I don't care, but he does care. He cares a lot. Oh, so then Kirtananda has to be the temple president? He's advisor, meaning like, he can come and blabber whatever he wants to blabber, but ultimately I get to decide what I want to do. It's like, this is, and he's like, I thought you said monarchy is better, and basically means that he wants to install himself as the king of the castle, And but this is Kali Yuga, and this is the kind of behavior. What are we doing here? We are trying to analyze what Srila Prabhupada and his disciples, Prabhupada is facing from his disciples. Not because we are interested in criticizing Hayagriva Prabhu or Kirtanananda Maharaj or something like that. No, but we study this to prevent that kind of behavior in our community, in our own lives. Because each of us are going to be doing different things. And ultimately, is Guru and Krishna's, please, is the service happening? Everybody has their role to play. And just like, this other devotee, Paramananda, he's making some good points. He's like, there's a lot of odd jobs. Without this, the whole community will fall apart. It's like, they're saying, I'm the temple president. That's a great reply for that. It's like, it's not it's like,
Go do it, bro. Go freaking find all these small things.
It's and sometimes these small things take up so much time, and they just keep coming. They don't seem to stop. It's just one little thing after another little thing, and then but in the eyes of somebody else, what's that person doing? I don't see his name anywhere on the services. Like, what's he doing the whole day? What's he doing? So, this mentality is not found in Varnashram. Varnashram people, I have what I have, and I'm satisfied performing my duty. I have my needs performed. I have my needs done. It's none of my business about what the other people. It's like, as long as somebody's not following the four regulative principles, breaking it left, right. That's something else. But if it's not something that grows. It's not my business, it's not my burden, it's a happy life actually if one knows how to live satisfied, peaceful. It's actually the headache of those who are in positions where they may have to assign services to other people or try to make sure it's their headache. It's actually a big headache. It's like it's not, but others instead they don't understand. They think, wow, that person's got the flexibility to. No, he doesn't have to get told you got to do this, you got to do that. He decides to do whatever he likes to do. So he gets to do what he likes to do, but I don't get to do what I like to do. And this kind of stuff, and it never ends. It never ends. So in Varnashram, it's very important that duties are understood. And if those duties are maintaining oneself, then one will be satisfied. That's it. Be peaceful. The problem is actually people in Kali Yuga don't like to be peaceful. They're always disturbed. Upadrataha. Is disturbed. If they aren't disturbed, they're disturbed that they aren't disturbed. Guru Maharaj makes this point. We go out to the farm and it's all like peaceful. Huh?
What did you say?
Everything is so organized that I'm so disturbed. Everything is so organized that I'm so disturbed.
That is, it disturbs me extremely that everything is so well organized.
So it's like we're used to being miserable. As Guru Maharaj sometimes says, it's like even those people, city people, they like to go out into the country. They don't know how to live. They don't know how to hear the sounds of the birds, chirping or singing, and whatever the other animals making all these different sounds. The wind flowing through the branches of the trees and create crickets and all this kind of stuff. They don't know how to enjoy that. They get sometime and then they get really disturbed and they bring this big speaker system and blast it out and ruin the whole and it's true.
Play nature sounds in nature.
It's true. Hey, we're just looking at this different properties. Here's this 200-acre property with this nice lake in between, which is like spring-fed lake. And they built this ugly swimming pool there also. Why do you need a swimming pool in the farm? You got 200 acres, you got a spring-fed lake. Go and lie on the lake, Lie down on the lake. Why do you need this swimming pool with this heated thing in it?
In the cold.
Yeah, anyways, they all have their reasons. But
that's in Georgia?
It's everywhere, bro.
It's everywhere.
Sounds like a good property.
We won't live in Gucci, we ain't gonna get no little shade. We're gonna be
That's everywhere.
So yeah.
Generally the mentality it seems to be like the grass is greener on the other side. That person's service is better, this person is eating better, this person's sleeping better. Generally, it seems like the mind tends to justify one's own faults with the easygoing life of others. But then that Bhagavatam is there in the who's that Avanti Brahmana, he says that one cannot understand another's pain. One beggar cannot understand pain of the person who is earning the money, and the person who is earning the money can't understand the pain of the beggar. And so if they were to understand, neither would the beggar ask, and the person would also give. So that essential understanding is not there, and generally it seems that people we grow up in a very selfish environment in general, just me, myself, and I'm the victim of all my circumstances. I had that realization when I was really young, actually, because I remember somebody had a bicycle, and I was like, man, I wish I could be him. I wish I didn't have a freaking bicycle. And later, the guy was suffering like hell, and I was like, and so for something happened with him, and then I remember thinking we all have our own destinies, and you have to kind of see it somehow.
Pluses and minuses in your own.
Yeah, somehow that came to me even when I was young, and I was like, oh, okay, shouldn't try to take other people's position on. So often it seems like we don't have that, and then it's super dissatisfying because practically most people might have a superior position to you if you kind of see it in that mentality, because so everybody has pluses and minuses, but you only see the pluses, you don't see the people don't often Guru Maharaj says that a lot about management within ISKCON too. People don't see the difficulties in it. Everybody thinks they're just there to rule and do all of that, and so it's being able to see both sides and then not be envious of the position, and then understand that those positions, you were saying, Guru Maharaj's association, but then sometimes they have the amount of crazy stuff that you have to go through, and sleepless nights, and working tirelessly day in, day out. And it's like, you know, cause like you gotta give it a break. Like, come on, like, you know, like you don't see all that, but you just say, oh look, you're just getting it. So it's like there's a lot more involved in the background. Sometimes people just see the immediate like you know, sometimes you're like, for example, somebody's fat or somebody's skinny. They think that you're just being fat or skinny for your whole life. Like it's just like that. But actually like people can't see the past of how actually you had a whole completely different like existence. So it's like that also. People are not able to recognize people are not able to recognize certain things.
Yeah. Okay. Continue.
I'll just make a suggestion. Listening to this conversation is really helpful also. I remember going through Prabhupada's recordings and like coming across this, and I was like, this whole like vibration of a total different like sound is very interesting to listen to.
Prabhupada, no.
Which one? You're reading?
Yeah.
I think Vishnu.
Dude, you have a mic for a reason, bro. You read the thing.
No, I've explained. He is a sannyasi. He should live everywhere temporarily, just like I live temporarily. Aniketa. A sannyasi should not have a permanent place. Anywhere he goes, temporary. So because you think that his service is required, then he should remain here. Otherwise, as he has accepted sannyas order, he should travel, go and preach. And especially nowadays, I cannot go everywhere. He can go, and he can recruit members. He can make propaganda of New Vrindavan to many persons, to say, foundations. As I have suggested, make pamphlet. So he can go outside, work very nicely for developing Vrindavan. Hayagriva. How much of his time do you think should be spent doing this? Prabhupada. Which one? Hayagriva. Preaching and traveling. Prabhupada. He should always preach and travel. Always. There is immense field here. You should convince people that we are developing such centers. And you make a nice literature picture. You go. He's educated. He's intelligent. He has studied our philosophy. He can go and speak. Hayagriva. But he shouldn't stay here at all. Prabhupada, no, he can come.
Oh my gosh.
He stay for some time and go. In that way. That when he comes here, you can take his advice, what to do, and then you execute in that way. The final is yourself, whatever you do. He will come, and now, for developing the center, he must require so many things. We must require so many things. So he can do the outside work. So we have to develop the center from outside work and inside work. Outside work means to draw sympathy of the people, to draw money for development. This is also required. We have got a very big scheme. It is not possible that by one man's earning we can do that. It is not possible. We require millions of dollars for developing. If we want to construct here temples, at least 7 temples, nicely,
7 temples.
so that requires huge amount. So outsiders' sympathy must be there. There's no scarcity of money in your country. Simply they have to be educated that we are doing something very nice. Please come and help. And that will be nice, in my opinion. That let him come, stay here for 1 month, again go out for 2 months, again come here. And he sees how things are going on. He suggests. Now you decide whether his suggestion will be accepted or not. Then I am there, of course. If there's some suggestion, good suggestion, then my order will be final. In that way we have to develop this.
So, you can see here how Prabhupada, even though he's dealing with these kind of devotees, it's tough, Agriva is basically trying to kick Kirtananda out. I mean, that's pretty much what's going on. And anybody else who opposes him also is going to get kicked out is the message that is getting sent out. And just see how Prabhupada is not getting discouraged in spite of this. It's amazing that Srila Prabhupada wanted to establish 7 temples with people like this. I mean, so that's also a very, very important point to understand, that even though Srila Prabhupada, yes, Prabhupada was a pure devotee. Yes, he was extremely attractive spiritually. Prabhupada was able to draw people and completely make them surrender. He was dealing with very difficult personalities. But still, it wasn't that it was easy for Prabhupada. It was not easy. It wasn't that Prabhupada didn't face challenges. And in the face of challenges, Prabhupada did not give up the mission to his spiritual master out of discouragement. He always spoke highly optimistic of the mission of Lord Chaitanya because Srila Prabhupada had faith in the mission of Lord Chaitanya, the mission of his spiritual master. And therefore, even though, and from a logical standpoint, he looks at these people, it's like these people can't even keep themselves together. How are they going to even run one temple? How am I going to establish 7 temples, collect millions of dollars? We've got a big scheme with these people. You know, from if you were to run a business, you wouldn't really think like this if this is the kind of people you have. The first thing you would think is the first fire all of these out, then maybe you can restart the whole thing again. And that's the kind of thought that comes from a regular, like, say, business standpoint. Is not, you're not gonna, but Prabhupada is dealing with these kind of people, but also has faith in the mission of Lord Chaitanya that the reformation will happen. If they stick to the process, there will be a transformation of the heart. And yes, some people didn't transform. Prabhupada had to go through a lot of things. But still, Prabhupada pushed forward. And that is what we need to observe, because we are going to face a lot of challenges. We should never assume that we won't. Both individually, as dealing with existing devotees, dealing with outsiders, there's always going to be so much that we have to deal with. But if we think that, okay, the solution is for me to just quit, which sometimes does feel like that's the solution. It does really feel, I just want to stop, I just want to give up. I can't do this anymore. That's like, how am I supposed to reason? And still, after all of this, I agree, you'll see, you keep going on, but he's like, but Prabhupada had hope and Prabhupada pushed. So that should be our mood. If we are to imbibe the spirit that Rupa Goswami says, Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namah. Namo Mahavadanyaya was extremely merciful. If we are to follow in the footsteps of Rupa Goswami, we are to become Rupanugas, then we have to develop that kind of mindset, which is the ultimate level of selflessness. That is actually it is the mood, it is the life of the Vrajavasis and their service to Krishna. They have that attitude. They have that selfless attitude. And that's why it comes out as Audharya in Lord Chaitanya's Leela. It comes out as great mercy. And then Krishna becomes completely indebted to such kind of people because they're doing everything for him at great expense of their own personal comfort. So, but that's where the highest bliss is. And this is what we understand from the residents of Vrindavan. So, we are not establishing Vaikuntha in Varnashram farm communities, especially. We are trying to establish Vrindavan. Vrindavan is an active, it's a crazy place actually. I just finished reading Nectar of Devotion. And some of the things in Nectar of Devotion is absolutely like, I can't believe it. Like some of the things and the kinds of feelings and exchanges they have between the devotees and the kinds of things, it's crazy. Anyways, and there's a lot of like, and there's actual feeling. Like one of Krishna's old nurses, her name is Jarita or Jarati. Nectar of Devotion. Jarati. So she sees Krishna. This is and she sees you mischievous boy who attracts young girls to yourself. I see the upper garment of my daughter-in-law on your personality. And saying this, she starts howling and crying through the village that the son of King Nanda has set fire in the house of her daughter-in-law. It's a heavy thing. You think about it, and the sort of feelings that come up. She's howling through the whole village. I mean, it's a kind of dramatic scene here. It's all centered around Krishna, but the kind of stuff that happens in Vrindavan.
I hope it doesn't happen there.
What I'm trying to say is, it shouldn't happen with us, because there you'll see none of these things happen when Krishna left Vrindavan. When Krishna is not in Vrindavan, none of these things. That's the point. That the Vrajavasis, none of this happens in Krishna's absence. They don't do anything. It's so amazing. This is the thing in Nectar of Devotion. The sentiments and feelings that the Vrajavasis experience when Krishna is not there, it's very, very painful to read. But that's the point. They're completely selfless. They're going through all these heavy emotions for Krishna's pleasure. And it's completely difficult to understand. But that transforms into Audharya in Lord Chaitanya's Leela as compassion for the living entities. And then you see devotees like Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur going through practically hell to benefit the living entities. All for Lord Chaitanya's pleasure. So that is the mood of our sampradaya. It's not going to change. That's the system of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, and therefore Prabhupada doesn't get discouraged. It's hard not to get discouraged. Look at this, it's hard not to get discouraged. But this very next statement, I'll just read that and we'll stop there. Well, are you leaving the decision up to me or what? Are you leaving the decision up to me? This is God. He's still talking to your spiritual master.
That's crazy.
It's like, so anyways, we should learn some tolerance, and we can do that if we are selfless and we don't have envy. Then that's why then from that position of non-enviousness comes real humility and tolerance. It's easy to say, when we chant the last verse of the Shikshashtakam, that whether you tightly embrace me or make me broken-hearted by not being present before me. And making broken-hearted, it's an easy thing to say. But when you're broken-hearted, then you understand how heavy that is. Or you see someone who's broken-hearted, it's a very, very heavy thing. And to say that I don't care about that it's very difficult. It's easy to just say it, but and the import is very deep. Okay, any other questions, anything else?
Prabhupada's saying that monarchy is outdated.
Yeah.
And he doesn't explicitly say that democracy is appropriate, but it's kind of implied. Is it?
Well, the point is actually Brahmanas have councils.
Oh, yeah.
And Srila Prabhupada, his disciples are nowhere like, actual Kshatriyas or anything like that.
Yeah.
And he's trying to elevate them to the platform of a Brahmana. Brahmanas do have councils. Many times it's said that if one is in confusion, then one can consult 3 Brahmanas and take their opinion, take the majority. And you consult three Brahmanas, and then, take the majority. If all 3 Brahmanas concur, then you're really good. But if all 3 Brahmanas differ, then you're in a problem. There's an issue. If 2 Brahmanas say don't do it, then don't do it. So Brahmanas are those who are allowed to vote. They do have voting. They have councils among themselves. They decide things. A good example is that once a council of Brahmanas came together and were debating, so who's supreme? Brahma, Vishnu or Shiva? And then finally they all elected Bhrigu Muni. Okay, you go and find out. So that was an election. There wasn't one person who decided that. This happens also in the sages of Naimisharanya. They collectively appoint Roma Harshana Sutta. They appoint him. Therefore, when Balaram kills him, say, "Oh, why you give? We appointed him." They say that. So the Brahmanas can, they have these kind of systems. So Prabhupada is not actually suggesting that, democracy, but Hayagriva doesn't understand. So, anything else? Any other questions. Okay. We will read from this book.
It's another one.
I just have to read this. It's,
What's the name?
unfortunately, there's no. Huh?
What's the name of this book?
Timeless Stories of Gomata.
Oh, she wrote this one?
This is by Bharachandra
Oh,
Prabhu.
back to this one.
It's a wonderful book. Okay, so yeah, we were here. Without cows and her progeny, yajnas are prescribed duties. Is there anything online or anything on the Matajis? I just want to check. Last time I didn't see. Nothing. Okay. All right. Yajnas are prescribed duties offered as an offering to the Supreme Lord, as well as the fire sacrifices or Agnihotra yajnas. Both are not possible. Without performance of such yajnas, those living in this conditioned life of materialism cannot be elevated to higher consciousness, and this is not possible without the blessings of cow and progeny in the form of their pure products and bowl power. Hence, the Supreme Lord creates both these sacred yajnas as well as the ingredients to perform the yajnas. This the Lord states, Sahayajnah prajashishtva purovacha prajapatihi, Bhagavad Gita 2.10. Serving cows can rid one of all sins. Therefore, Rupa Goswami has instructed it as one of the most basic and necessary steps in sadhana bhakti. Ashwatha tulasi dhatri go bhumi sura vaishnavaha pujitah pranata dhyataha kshapayanti nirnam agham. Skanda Purana quoted in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 210. So there you can see that Rupa Goswami is suggesting, along with worshipping Tulasi, he's saying worship of cows for devotees. It's that important actually. Hence, to lead a meaningful life, we ought to understand the importance of sacred cow. How do we understand the importance of sacred cow? The answer is that we have to understand this from the standard books of knowledge, which are the Vedas. Vedic scriptures, especially Puranas or history, have accounts of various incidents that teach us the importance of cow. The attempt of this book is to present these timeless stories attractively through illustrations so that ultimately we are all drawn to understand the message inherent in these pastimes. One should not consider these stories as mythological, but as true accounts of history, for the Vedas are not a myth. Srila Prabhupada has made a point about this in his purport in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is from Bhagavatam 1.3.41, purport. Men of a poor fund of knowledge only accept the history of the world from the time of Buddha, or since 600 BC. And prior to this period, all histories mentioned in the scriptures are calculated by them to be only imaginary stories. That is not a fact. All the stories mentioned in the Puranas and Mahabharata are actually actual histories, not only of this planet, but of millions of other planets within the universe. Sometimes the history of planets beyond this world appears to such men to be unbelievable, but they do not know that different planets are not equal in all respects, and that therefore some of the historical facts derived from other planets do not correspond with the experience of this planet. Considering the different situation of different planets and also time and circumstances, there is nothing wonderful in the stories of the Puranas, nor are they imaginary. We should always remember the maxim that one man's food is another man's poison. We should therefore not reject the stories and histories of the Puranas as imaginary. The great sages like Vyasa had no business putting some imaginary stories in their literatures. Therefore, it is recommended to read these incidents from the Puranas at night before going to bed. Nishidipa satantriko divya pauraniki katha evam rite ratnapurnam mahim datva bhavet phalam niyatakala kalpataru 469. Engaging one's mind in reading and meditating upon these wonderful and timeless stories is itself called the austerity of the mind. It is a great way to teach the importance of cows to young or old. These stories are an easy way to communicate through speeches, dramas, or fine art. He's quoting again from Srila Prabhupada's purport, Bhagavad Gita 17:16. To make the mind austere is to detach it from sense gratification. It should be so trained that it can be always thinking of doing good for others. The best training for the mind is gravity in thought. One should not deviate from Krishna consciousness and must always avoid sense gratification. To purify one's nature is to become Krishna conscious. Satisfaction of the mind can be obtained only by taking the mind away from thoughts of sense enjoyment. The more we think of sense enjoyment, the more the mind becomes dissatisfied. In the present age, we unnecessarily engage the mind in so many different ways for sense gratification, and there is no possibility of the mind becoming satisfied. The best course is to divert the mind to the Vedic literature, which is full of satisfying stories, as in the Puranas and the Mahabharata. One can take advantage of this knowledge and thus become purified. These timeless teachings are woven through various stories presented here. The remedy in this dark age of faults, Kali Yuga, is the congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This mantra will not only raise us from the clutches of materialism and the miseries associated with it, but will also raise us to the pure state of God consciousness or Krishna consciousness. This book needs some editing. Cows cannot be separated from the pastimes of Sri Krishna and Balaram. These stories strengthen our conviction in the divine design of the Lord. They are indeed satisfying and can be read again and again. These timeless stories shall also help us derive essential principles, practices, and philosophy of cow protection. Probably this is the need of the hour when cow protection is severely violated due to lack of knowledge about the importance of cows. As the saying goes, Gavamesha dharmaha amyata viplavaha apararkaha 338. Only through cow protection is dharma or righteous duties possible to be carried out, or else without cow protection there will be great turbulence. Various appendices are added at the end of the book. Let the glories of Mother Cow and Lord Krishna be spread throughout the world. Tasham kirtana deva naraf papa dvimuchyate. Just by glorifying and spreading the message of sacredness of cow is purifying. Vishnu Dharmottara Purana 2:42-27. Let the sacredness of the cow be re-established in our society. Let the degradation towards a slaughterhouse civilization be checked. Krishnair Matirastu. So this table of content, he's got about 35 stories here. Very nice stories actually. So we still have some more time. So I'm going to read. These are again stories from different Puranas. So remember that some of these stories will be different to the way Bhagavatam says things happened and things like that. There are many types of creations, sub-creations, and all kinds of things that are happening in the universe. So all of these stories in the Puranas are true. Once, in the beginning of creation, Lord Brahma instructed his son, Daksha Prajapati, to procreate and fill the creation with different species of population. For the benefit of all, Daksha Prajapati first created the prescribed duties for the residents of earthly planets. The demigods live on nectar, while the residents of the earthly planets live by performing their prescribed duties. Prescribed duties are performed as devotional service for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord Vishnu are called yajnas. From such yajnas, demigods get the nectar to live. In this way, there is cooperation between demigods and humans. This cooperation between demigods and humans is to ultimately serve the Supreme Lord. Hence, Daksha thoughtfully sought out to create prescribed duties and yajna first. As the creation started, all the created beings approached Daksha, asking him to provide them with food and ways to work. Wanting to solve this problem, Daksha Prajapati drank nectar. Satisfied at drinking of nectar, Daksha gave out a fragrant burp. And with this burp, Surabhi manifested. There's a Sanskrit verse for that they put on the end notes. The footnotes. I'm not going to read that. Daksha then made Surabhi as his daughter. The whole creation would be dependent on her to do yajna in the form of prescribed duties as well as in the form of Agnihotra yajnas, fire oblations. Later, through the boon obtained from Lord Brahma, Surabhi became the mother of all cows. Thus, we can understand that Surabhi is considered as the mother of all creations. Also, she is considered the mother because we depend on her milk throughout life. Pravaram jivaniyam kshiramuktam. In fact, cows provide 5 pure products. They are dung, gocharana, bile stone, urine, milk, yogurt, and ghee. That's 6. Oh, gocharana, bile stone is one product. Okay.
What's bile stone?
I don't know.
It's used in puja. I just read about it the other day.
What is it?
It's like some small, like I think it's a yellow stone. They use it in.
And where? How does the cow produce it? I don't know all these
I think
things.
it's I think it's gold. Well, I read somewhere it's produced in their head, and then somewhere it also said it's like gallstones.
So like they pass through it, and it comes out.
But somewhere it said it's produced in their head, so I don't know. I mean, we
What do you
hear
do
about
with
Maybe
What's
you
it
collect
in
it
the
when the
body?
cow dies.
Yeah.
It's something I just learned about. I'm not sure.
What do you do with
No, but I
Use it-
don't know.
use
He
it
said he
for-
read about it. I'm not sure.
I think it's medicinal, and it's also used in like artis and something. I don't know. It's interesting.
Go charana.
It's a side question.
Cow urine provides us with essential nutrition and is purifying, while bull urine is used in infertility treatment.
Infertility. What does that mean?
Infertility.
Kevin.
Oh, to make a woman fertile? What do you
Man
mean?
also.
Okay, so okay.
Yeah. The best form of fat is obtained from cows as butter and ghee. Gavyam tu paramam medhyam. Varaha Purana 206, 24 to 35. There is another description to the appearance of Surabhi cow. This probably happened in a different Kalpa, day of Lord Brahma. When creation was entrusted to Lord Brahma by the Supreme Lord Sri Mahavishnu, Lord Brahma created first few beings, including the Surabhi cow. This is described in the Gopal Tapani Upanishad. Krishnayad akasham khad vayur ityuttarat surabhim. Vidya pradurakkarsham tad uttarat stri pumari chedam. Sakalam idam iti. Lord Brahma said, during the first half of my life, I meditated upon and offered prayers to the Supreme Lord. At the end of the second half of my life, the Supreme Lord assumed the form of a cowherd boy, woke up from his yoga nidra and appeared before me. When the Supreme Lord appeared before me, I offered my obeisances at his lotus feet with love and devotion. At that time, the Lord imparted to me the 18-syllable mantra, which is non-different from him, to empower me to create. After telling that mantra, the Supreme Lord disappeared. Thereafter, when I decided to take up the work of creation, he again manifested before me in the form of a cowherd boy and displayed to me the would-be universe within the 18-syllable mantra, Klim Krishnaya Govindaya Gopijana Vallabhaya Swaha. Thereafter, I created water from the letter Ka of Klim, earth from the letter La, fire from the letter E, the moon from Bindu. I then created sun from Klim, and after this I created sky from the word Krishnaya, air from the word Govindaya, and Surabhi cow, and 14 types of knowledge from Gopijana and Vallabhaya respectively. After that I created all of the non-moving and non-moving beings, including men, women, and all those who are and those who are neuter. In this way I completed the work of creation. Hari Bhakti Vilas 169, derived from Mahabharata, Dana Dharma Parva 77 and Hari Bhakti Vilas. So here you can see that the cows actually created, at least in this particular creation, the cows created even before humans are created. So that's how important the cows. And it's directly created from the Gopal mantra.
Question.
Yeah.
It's like a side thing, but like we're talking about like all the things that the cow gives, and when the cow dies, then like generally like we'll see like the leather is also used from the cow. Who takes care of all of that?
So Prabhupada said there's a caste
Chandalas?
in India. No, that type of chandalas. I mean, they're not really chandalas. Chandalas technically are dog eaters, but there's a caste, there's also low caste, and these people are lower than Shudras, and they would consume the meat of the cow.
Oh.
If you know, because it's allowed because it's dead, and they would take the skin, make leather, and then they would make other products also.
Like Virdangas.
From the cow. No, so they would supply the leather,
Oh,
and then the Shudras traditionally they would make the instruments.
like
Because so basically you have a potter. The potter would make the pot, and there would be special potters who also make instruments. So they would buy the leather, and then the pots that they manufacture, they give it to these people because everybody needs pots. So like this.
It's like a art. It seems like a lot of the traditional instrument art is like a very becoming rare to like. I know Mridanga is still like there prominently, but things like Veena and.
Everything is very rare. I mean, it's there.
Well,
It's
Mridanga
there.
is pretty. Mridanga.
Veena is also there. I mean, there are some things that are even more rare, but I mean, you see, you think about it. If you don't have a high number of cows, you can't make all these different products. How many? Imagine you run through a mridanga. How quickly do you run through one? 4 months?
Year. Well, you can.
Oh,
We've run
1
for
year.
on a year and a half now.
Year and a half.
If you play every day though, like you have a lot of sankirtan going on.
So then, I mean, it's like a year, then you need a cow. I mean, I don't know if even one cow's leather is sufficient for making the mridanga or not. I don't know anything.
I think it is.
Yeah.
But then there's also different types of leathers, different types of cows. Certain types of cows probably only certain types of leather. I don't know how these things work, but it's a very actually to establish a whole Varnashram system. So you need to be able to care for so many cows. I mean, because everybody has to consume milk, so that means a lot of cows, and that's how. And then to be able to maintain so many cows, you need so much land, and then all this kind of like this whole village, and it's a big. It's a big thing.
Goes beyond time if I ask another one.
Okay, all right. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo